What's up, guys? Welcome to this installment of Mike's Vehicle Vlogs, and I want to thank you all for joining me today. First thing I want to mention in today's vlog is, the previous vlog we talked about a huge improvement that was going to be a gigantic step on getting the Aztek back on the road, and that is the fact that she now has all new brake lines. So all 4 brake lines have been done, and yeah. The job is not 100% complete yet. All the lines are hooked up. They're routed, hooked up, ready to go. We just have to bleed the lines, get some fresh fluid in there and bleed them. And we're going to be doing that on, it really doesn't matter what day I say, but 2 days from now, my friend's coming back over, and we're going to be doing that. So at that point, the system will be complete. And if you didn't see the last vlog, kind of briefly went over what she's gonna need now after that. The real thing that I'm waiting on, I'm still waiting on getting the radiator, and that's it. We need the back tires are pretty decent, so I'm not gonna replace the back tires. The one tire over there may have a flat spot from sitting so long, but I don't know, we'll see what happens. But the tread on these look pretty decent. Tires don't look too bad. These front tires are what I'm worried about, especially the one here. It's flat. It won't keep any air in it. I think it dry rotted so much it's just cracked, and yeah, it's not keeping any fluid in it, or any air whatsoever. But the 2 back tires aren't that bad. So I'll find some lightly used front tires, of course, and I do want to replace the front brake components. They are very rusty. The pads on this side, I guess, look really good. The other side, the pads don't look so good. But we're going to replace the front discs and pads. And that's it. So definitely come a long way since we brought her home. And yeah, that is exactly what's going on with it. So in a couple days, freshly bled brake lines. And then, like I said, I'm just waiting on the radiator, because the radiator is going to be key to actually getting the car to move, other than the tires, of course. But the transmission line, which I had replaced, it's not fitting into the radiator. The one cooler line isn't fitting, so I was just going to wait to mess with that. That's what all that is. That's all transmission fluid that just leaks out when the car runs from time to time. So when the radiator came out, I was going to get new fittings, of course, with the radiator. And we're going to reinstall the lines and take care of it all at once. I'm not going to fight with it right now because there's really no point. I got to pull the lines off anyway. But yep, so that's that. But obviously that's not what we're talking about today's vlog. We're actually going to talk about the Fusion and some news that has just broke from Ford like 3 days ago. So in the news recently, a couple of days ago, I guess Ford is announcing that there is going to be a recall on the 2013 to 2016 Ford Fusions yet again for a similar issue that I think they had put a recall out for maybe last year or the year before, something like that. But it's a similar recall, I think, from my understanding, only this time it may actually be hitting a little closer to home. And then might I add, I love my Fusion. We are going to be at the 1 year mark at the very, very end of July. July 31st is when I actually took delivery of this car. So, we could say, like August, but July 31st is the technical, official ownership date for me. And, the past year, so far, well, I should say 10 months or so, it's been a fantastic car, and there's barely anything I don't like about it. But yeah, so I just found out about this recall news, and I'm not really going to let it hinder my positivity with my ownership experience, because, well, honestly, at this point, I don't even know if my car is going to officially fall under that, and I'll explain why. But just from the general information that was put out on the news about what's going on, there's a really, really good possibility that, yes, I will be getting a recall notice in the mail. It's hot out here. Let's jump in real quick and if you haven't heard, I will explain what is going on with this potential recall that is going to be taking effect here in the next couple weeks. So this brand new recall has to do with the transmission shifter cable that connects obviously to the shifter of the car, and it runs to the transmission. Obviously when you select each gear on the shift lever, the cable moves, and obviously there's something on the transmission, you know, that moves with the cable, so it knows what gear you're going into: park, reverse, neutral, drive, and so forth. I guess there is an issue with a bushing that they use on these connectors that go, I think, to the transmission, is what they were saying. So the connector on the transmission, you know, I guess there's a bushing on there, and the bushing, either it does something, either way, the bushing kind of comes apart, I guess, and if the bushing starts to deteriorate or such, this connector can actually pop off of the transmission, and no matter what gear you move your selector into, it's probably going to stay in whatever gear it's in. But I guess the big thing here is they're saying that the car will not go into park. So they're probably saying that there's a chance that the bushing's bad. You know, the bushing, any bushing that's on anything, like on your suspension components or whatnot, you know, bushing is there to kind of absorb shock and keep things from coming loose and whatnot. So if there's a bushing on this connector that goes on the transmission to select each gear, if that bushing is deteriorating or falls off or something like that, then the connector probably has some leeway to vibrate off and stuff. So it probably happens when you're actually driving. So when you get to your destination and you go to put your car in park, your car will not actually be in park. It will be probably in drive, or, you know, whatever gear it was last left in that caused the vibration or whatnot to come apart, bring the cable off. So, you know, if you have your shifter here and it's in drive, the indicators on the dashboard on the instrument cluster is going to tell you that it's in drive. And then obviously when you go into park, it's going to tell you that it's in park. So automatically you're going to assume that your car is in park if you are looking at the indicator lights on the instrument cluster. That is not the case, because the indicator lights are run off of a switch that is on the shifter itself. So you know, of course it's going to think it's in park because that's where the shifter is located. If the cable is broken off of your transmission, the transmission's still going to be in gear regardless, and you're going to, you know, turn your car off. It's going to actually allow you to turn the car off, because if the shifter is in park, the computer is obviously thinking that the car is in park. So it's going to allow you to turn your car off, take your key out of the ignition, and open the door and walk away, when in reality your car could possibly still be in gear, and it can roll away and hurt you or hurt somebody else, or even damage some other property or whatnot. I mean, either way, it's not good. Your car should be in park when you put the shifter into park. So in other words, the shifter is basically the one who gives the ignition and whatnot permission to shut your car off and whatnot if it's, you know, if it's in park or not in park, you know. So if I have the car in drive, and obviously it's going to tell me it's in drive up there because that's where the shifter is located. Well, and then, you know, I got my car in drive, and for some reason I forget to put it in park and I want to turn it off. It'll allow you to turn it off, but this key is going to stay in the ignition, and there's a message up there that says the transmission is not in park. So that's correct. And then when you put the shifter into park, it allows you to finish the rest of the removal process for the key. Same thing if you want to start your car. So if you have the shifter, we'll have the accessory on for a second here, and let's say we put it back in drive. So if the shifter's in drive and you want to start the car, it will not let you start the car because the transmission or the shifter is not in park. So either park or neutral, I think, but obviously if it's an automatic, it should be in park. That's how that works. So you can understand the safety issue here, that if the cable breaks off of the transmission, and even though the shifter is in park, the the computer of the car is going to tell the ignition that it's safe to turn the key off and remove the key from the car without any warning, because it's trusting that the transmission's in park because of the shifter. And that's correct. The problem here is with the cable that runs from the shifter itself to the transmission. So if that cable breaks and it's not turning the thing on the transmission to actually put that transmission mechanically into park, you're not going to know. So Ford is saying everybody should be using their parking brake. And, it's not a big deal, I guess. Not a big deal to me, anyway. I honestly use my parking brake a lot, in situations like if the car is going to be slightly on a hill, like on the incline. I just don't like it when I put my car in park and I'm on that incline, and the motion of the hill will put weight on the parking paw. So then when you get into your car and you take it out of park and it has that jolt, that's not good. I mean, I'm sure the transmissions are kind of designed to deal with that, but I don't like it. So I do use my parking brake in situations like that. And, ever since this news kind of broke, I still have been using my parking brake a little bit more, even on level ground. My driveway is pretty level here where it sits anyway. But nonetheless, I don't find it to be that big of a deal. And until I know for sure if my car is affected by this recall or not, then I guess I'll just continue to use the parking brake. It's not that big of a deal to me. Some people, are probably upset by the recall because, recalls suck. But at the same time, I'm not upset by it because I know, for one, it's something that I don't have to pay for. It's a general safety issue that the company is going to take care of. But number two, I just also feel like it's really nobody's, I really don't feel like it's anybody's fault. This is just something that naturally happens over time, apparently. From what I was reading, I do believe there was only one situation where a Fusion was not in park and it actually damaged. There was actually some property damage that was caused by this whole issue. And I'm saying that with the 2.5 engines. That's the new thing. I guess this recall was something that was out for a while with other various Fusion powertrains, but the 2.5 liter 4-cylinders, which is what I have in mind, that is now under the recall also. So whether it's the same exact kind of connection that they use on the transmission in these various engine types, I don't know. But my engine, and my powertrain is one of the ones that they're saying now is under the recall. But I'm not upset with Ford or anything like that, just because this happens, and them issuing a recall is obviously a good thing because they're going to correct the issue. But I haven't had any weird issues with, obviously, my car coming out of park or anything. It seems to be fine, but just as a precaution, until I know for sure if my vehicle is going to be affected or not by this, we'll just use the parking brake from here on out. Now, say if my electronic parking brake were to fail, then I would be a little upset. I'd be upset because I'm not 100% happy with an electronic parking brake. I've obviously come to accept the fact that my Fusion has one, but I honestly like the cable parking brakes better. This one, the electronic brakes seem to be okay. I've noticed that they actually work, so I'm not worried about that, but it's still anything electronic that has to do with brakes or just anything like that is supposed to keep your car stopped or whatnot, I'm still kind of uneasy about, but it is what it is. That's something I just got to live with. Now, when the story came out the other day, I did ask the dealership if there was any, if they had heard this yet, And this was, I think, a day after the story came out. So the dealership, at least the one that I work at, they have not been notified officially. It seems they haven't been notified officially that there is a recall yet. I'm sure by now, you know, they're going to start getting word about that, because I asked them if there was any way they can look up, you know, the recalls on my Fusion, and from my VIN number at this moment, no, because nothing's been issued yet. But in the upcoming weeks, once they start sending out notices and whatnot, I guess, you know, obviously the company has to go through, you know, possibly look at the build sheet of when your car was made to see if your Fusion may have been used with this certain kind of connector or bushing or whatnot. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they use different suppliers throughout, you know, the building process. My Fusion, when it was built, could have had a different kind of bushing or something on it. So I don't know. I mean, maybe mine won't be covered. Maybe every single Fusion from 2013 to 2016 with the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder is going to have this issue. I don't know yet. Nobody knows yet. So let's give it a few weeks and we'll see if you know, if my Fusion happens to be on the list for this. Obviously, I will let you guys know, and I'm sure a lot of you other Fusion owners with the 2.5 4-cylinder, you guys are probably going to know also. You'll either get a letter in the mail. Well, I'm pretty sure you'll always get a letter in the mail, but you could always go to your local dealership and they can search it by VIN number, and you'll know right away, obviously, if your car is going to be under the recall or not, when this information is finally sent to the dealerships and whatnot. And as mentioned, I'm not going to let this bother me with the Fusion. I still love the car. The car has been phenomenal so far. Even after taking the one side over a curb by accident, she seems to be a trooper. I haven't really noticed anything different about how the car drives or whatnot. It's been a phenomenal car, and I'm still very, very happy that you know, I purchased this. You know, and here and there, you know, there might be a few little things here and there that may irritate me from time to time or whatnot, but nothing really, I guess. I'll get into more specifics when we get the 1-year update video going, and of course that's going to be in the next couple of months. So yes, 1 year, man. I feel like I just got this car yesterday. It's very interesting how time flies. So with the car in park, parking brake set to on, we can now safely leave the vehicle. And there you have it, guys. So I hope that this vlog was a little informative for you guys, just letting you guys know that this recall could be hitting close to home this time. I've never actually had a car under a recall for the exact model that I've had, so I'm sure if I still had my Grand Prix, I would have had that weird GM ignition recall, but I didn't have the Grand Prix, so I don't have to worry about that. But this one hits a little closer to home, so I'll keep you guys posted on what the status of this Fusion's gonna be, and hopefully I shared some information to fellow Fusion owners if you guys have not heard the news already. So that's kind of where we stand with this latest Ford recall. So hope you guys, other than that, enjoyed the vlog. I will see you guys in the next vlog, hopefully with a full freshly bled brake system on the Aztek and whatnot. Other than that, give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed it. Also check out teespring.com/store/Mike's Vehicle Spotlight for all of your MVS vlog merchandise. That's it. I will see you guys next time, so thanks for watching. Take care.